Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of 308 Winchester Week. We've got Chase here with some more rifles. Chase, what have we got today? I think we're going to get some lighter weight options to shoot.
That's right. I am excited about today. This is the kid in the candy store day because we've got three higher end precision hunting rifles that are kind of those mountain rifle style. As far as I know, that's what I figured out, but I'm hoping you'll tell me which one shoots best. So here we've got the Springfield Waypoint 2020 rifle. Now this one's got a push feed, two lug with an action with an extractor hook and a plunger ejector as well.
That's what it looks like, double lug. Yep, you got it.
It weighs 6 pounds, 6 ounces. It's got a 22-inch carbon barrel on this one. That is an option. It's a threaded barrel with a radial brake.
Sure enough. That's why it shot when I was zeroing at 50 yards. It's like it already went off.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's 38 inches head to tail. And it's got a Tech trigger in there that's adjustable from 2 to 5 pounds. 2.5 to 5 pounds, excuse me.
That's a nice light trigger.
Yeah. The stock material is from AG Composites. It's carbon fiber with a nice evergreen camo finish. And it's got a Cerakote coating on the metal.
It's greenish.
Yep, a green color in this option. And then it's got a dropout magazine that holds 5 rounds. And that's a standard AIX magazine as I understand it.
Looks like it.
And then it's got a 2-position safety, and it has a list price of $2,599. So we're starting out with the Spindy boogers.
Yeah, and this safety does not lock the bolt down.
Okay.
Something I'm really a stickler on, but I mean, I can live with it, but it's just something you want to note.
You bet.
Because often in your hunting, you hit some brush and it'll pop it open. It's happened to me a couple of times over the years, so something to consider. Okay, well, we're going to start off with Springfield's new Waypoint 2020. That's kind of their premier rifle these days. Comes in a lot of formats, and this one looks, like kind of a compromise between the look and the straight pistol grip of a target rifle, but it doesn't have the adjustable comb, but it does have a high comb notched out so that your bolt can be removed here.
An adjustable comb is an option on this rifle, by the way.
Yeah. But this one, I think, is just a little more simple. I mean, that suggests hunting rifle. Yeah. It's got a bit of a wide, flat fore end, and that suggests target rifle. So it's sort of a hybrid.
Yeah. One, it's got that big scope on it, but don't judge it by that. If you're doing a lightweight hunting rifle, you'd probably want to put something lighter on there, I assume. Yeah,
this is a heavy scope, and it makes the rifle feel a lot heavier than it would have to be. But I can see where this could work. Now, the barrel looks fairly short. Is it a 22? I've forgotten. But it has a break on it, so it should be a mild shooter.
Yep.
Let's just see how it groups.
All right, look forward to it.
Now, if you guys haven't seen the earlier episodes where we have 3 rifles tested, one were essentially target rifles that could be used for hunting, and then we had your more classic hunting rifles in that 7.5 to 8.5 pound range. And now we're going to go with these, but we always start off with a 150 grain load, which is pretty much what a lot of 308 guys use for deer hunting. And then we're going to step up to 168 grain for target shooting, and we're using the match loads to maximize our potential for a good group. And then we go to 180 grain bullets in these Federals, and that's another hunting load. Trophy bonded tipped bullet here. That's what we figure a lot of elk and moose and bear hunters would probably use. We want to see what these rifles are capable of for grouping those different loads. And we will start off with our 150 grain whitetail hunters. The whitetail loads from Hornady are pretty popular these days. And this is pretty comparable to the ammunition you would get from Remington, Winchester, Federal, and sort of their typical whitetail loads. No real super fancy, expensive bullet, just your cup and core, as much as I know. Now that was really hard to close for some reason. Yeah, this is an interlock bullet. Good bullet. I've used that for years and years on a lot of game and a lot of hunts. Proven pretty effective. Fairly busy reticle here, but not too bad. You can clearly see the target. Get to dial my parallax with this scope. And there we go. Got a little bit of an adjustment here. Needed to sharpen up that reticle. That looks pretty good. Dead center on the upper left target. Okay, I think we're ready, folks. Wow, what a mild recoil that is. Looks like I'm about an inch, probably an inch to the right. Now let's see if it ejects nicely. Yeah, no problem with the bolt that time. I don't know what that little hitch was initially. This is a real comfortable bench rifle. I'm sure feeling that. Looks like it landed right by the other one. Get a little glare on that target, so I'm not seeing it all that clearly. But I like the way this rides on the bags. I would call this a target rifle. Looks like we got at least an MOA group. I think that last shot went out a little bit. There's your 150s. Well, the tail will be told. Got a couple loads in this box yet, and then it's empty. I'll use those. The tail will be told on the big lens. Chase, you want to go over and check that big lens and see if that group is what I think it is?
You bet.
Looks like it's on the right, a little bit of the aiming point.
Yeah, you got two that are basically the same hole, and then you got one that's up and to the right just a half an inch.
Yeah,
I'd
I think
say
that
the
was
whole
my last shot.
Under an inch, yeah.
All right. Boy, it's a mild shooter, but you'd expect that with that break up front. So given that, I think I'll aim for the bottom of the yellow lines on the diamond. So I'm going to the upper left diamond, but instead of aiming at the center on the orange bullseye, I'm going for the bottom of the joint of the yellow lines on that diamond. Glad I did, because it went quite a bit higher. One just never knows with this. You always assume, at least I always used to, that the heavier bullets would drop more, but that's not always the case. And it looks to me like this one is quite a bit high. Yeah, quite a bit high and quite a bit left. Looks like we had a similar deal here, Chase. First two almost touching, I think, and then put one out to open up to about an inch. Now, the nice thing about this carbon barrel is it's cool. It's kind of the hallmark that they don't heat up as fast, and then they supposedly cool faster. Well, let's see what it likes to do with 180 grain. I'll just slide over to the right diamond on top. Probably need to adjust this sight a little bit to the left. We're consistently shooting right. Yeah, about an inch and an eighth already. Doesn't like the 180s as well as the others. But an elk's not going to notice the difference. Yeah, I opened up quite a bit on that bunch. Inch and a half, maybe even an inch and 3/4, it looks like. So it doesn't love the 180s, but it was doing all right on the others. You want to take a look on the other camera, see what we got? I think our best group's about minute of angle, isn't it?
Yeah, it was that first one.
Yeah, 150 grain.
Yep. Then you had, like I said, on those match grade, you got 3 in a straight vertical line, just about inch and a half maybe.
Okay.
Similar, about an 1.5 group maybe on the 180 greens.
So, I mean, I had a great scope. I got a good sight picture. Everything was nice and steady. I like the flat forend on this for on the bags. That's what they're designed for.
Yeah.
Keeps you from having that lateral wobble. The muzzle brake makes it real easy to shoot. Nice high comb, gets me lined up pretty nicely with the scope. I mean, I would call this a great bench rifle, target rifle, working out of a stand, as we've talked about with some of the other ones before. I'm not too crazy about carrying it around in the woods. And one of the reasons I don't like these magazines that stick out, because when I'm hunting, I'm not always carrying my rifle like this.
Sure.
I have it slung most of the time. And then a lot of times these will poke me in the back.
Yep.
Ow, don't like that. But then quite often I want to carry at the balance point right here.
Okay.
And there that thing is getting in my way.
Yep.
Whereas if I've got a nice rounded belly on my stock, like you're carrying it like this, it's natural.
Now, what if you're one of those backcountry hunters likes to put this, you're carrying your gun in your pack half the time or more than half the time just to get to your destination?
Yeah.
You want to set up and try to take a long range shot? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're that kind of guy?
Yeah, then it doesn't make as much difference.
Okay.
Then you've got your weight issue, but as you noted, it's more the scope that's weighing this thing down
Sure.
than it is the stock and the carbon. I assume this is a carbon stock.
Yep,
it looks like
it is.
Yep, carbon fiber stock and barrel, so should be a pretty lightweight rifle without this massive scope. I would go to a lighter scope on the thing.
Yeah.
But then again, a lot of guys want to have the big, powerful scope.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary, but it's the trend these days. And as you said, if somebody wants to hike out, get up on a high spot and glass and take shots where he sees them quite a ways out, something like this would be the right way to go.
Yeah.
I'm more of a, I don't know what you call it, a Daniel Boone hunter, but I like to hunt, stalk, read sign, glass, find something, sneak into position. All of that to me is the exciting part of it.
Sure.
So I'm sticking and moving a lot.
You bet.
So I'm going to be biased towards the lighter rifles.
I can understand that.
See if you
Well, it sure is sexy though, isn't it?
Yeah. If you
It's a
think that's
beautiful
sexy,
rifle.
that's sexy.
All right. Okay.
Now, while we're getting another rifle here, I want to remind you guys that because you're seeing my shots off to the side a couple of inches or low or higher, some people think, well, that's not an accurate rifle. No, I'm not trying to hit the bullseye. I'm just trying to see where these rifles will cluster their shots. That tells me how potentially precision shooting this rifle is. Then when I've decided it shoots this ammunition beautifully, sub MOA or whatever I'm looking for, I decide that's what I want to hunt with or target shoot with. I then adjust my scope to hit where I want to hit at 100 yards, 200 yards, wherever you want to set your zero. This is not establishing zero. So don't worry about not hitting where I'm aiming on this one.
So this is the gun I'm hoping to hunt my deer with this year.
Oh,
unless you tell me otherwise.
Okay.
All right.
I better give it a good review then.
Well, you be honest, and I'll pick another one if it comes at your suggestion. But this is the Browning X-Bolt Speed SR. SR for suppressor ready.
Oh yeah.
So it's it's a pretty lightweight gun. It's 6 pounds 4 ounces. It's got a push feed action, 3 lugs, M16 style hook extractor.
Yep.
And then it's got a plunger ejector.
There it is. Classic stuff. Now, the 3 lug, the advantage is you have a shorter bolt throw.
Okay.
You don't have to lift it up so high. Not throw. This is the throw, actually. This is just a lift.
Yep.
But a lot of guys like that short lift rather than coming all the way up.
Okay, that makes sense. They put that all over in their marketing material, so it must be something important.
Yeah, it's real popular.
Nice. It's got an 18-inch barrel. It's floating. It's stainless, but then it has a smoked bronze Cerakote, which looks real nice.
And it's fluted, too.
Yep.
Shaves the weight a little bit.
38 inches head to tail.
Uh-huh.
And then it's got a feather trigger that's adjustable from 3 to 4 pounds.
Yeah, they're kind of proud of that feather trigger. They came out with that. Oh, well, they came out with the X-Bolt.
Okay, yeah.
I remember when they introduced it, and they showed me the geometry of the trigger and why it all worked, and I went, huh? But it seems to do the job. It's a nice, crisp trigger.
Very nice, and it's even got that gold, which I think is kind of a signature thing of Browning, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. It is.
All right, so then we've got a synthetic composite stock. This one's a nice camo, and we've got we mentioned the Cerakote coating on the barrel, and then we've got a detachable magazine that'll hold 4 rounds.
There it is. And I like these actually. These Cully or whatever they are, nylon magazines, don't dent like the old metal ones used to. Yeah, they're really surprisingly durable. When they first came out, I thought, oh, cheap plastic stuff. But
Sure.
I'm impressed now. They're smooth and they don't dent up.
Good to know.
Yep.
So far, so good then for
Yeah,
my hunt this
you're
week.
hanging in there.
It's got a 2-position safety,
On the
and it
10.
does lock the bolt.
Yep.
And then
lock the bolt. Yeah. And here is this is useful right here. The thing about locking the bolt down that some people don't like is they can't lift it up and take a round out without putting it out forward. Now it's ready to fire, and you're doing this, and you might accidentally hit the trigger, and it goes off, and I've seen it happen. But if you push this thing down on top of the bolt, there's a little button right here. You can, while it's still on safe,
very
lift
nice.
it.
All right.
So normal usage, bolt's locked down, but you want to take your round out without any risk. It's still blocked, but you can open it.
So it kind of provides a similar functionality as a 3-position safety almost.
Yep.
All right.
You got it. Exactly it.
The list price on this is $1,429.99.
Okay. Yep, that's a light trim rifle. I've always liked those X-Bolt rifles for the trim stock lines and the smooth action. So I'm a little bit biased in favor of this rifle already, just because I've used them many times before and had great luck with them. But every rifle's an individual. Sure. They don't all perform like you would like them to. This one has an extremely short barrel, especially for a Browning. I'm used to seeing 24-inch barrels on them, but I see it set up with a muzzle brake that you can screw off, and then you could put on.
Yep, and I think there's a few different iterations of this particular rifle, and being the SR, the suppressor ready one.
Yeah.
I believe that's it, that's why.
Yeah. And there's a lot to be said for that suppressor ready. I am really getting into the suppressor thing myself, because it's so convenient to not have to worry about blasting your ears out. So,
all right, let's see how it goes.
Right now, we won't blast our ears out. We'll put the muffs on. All right, folks, once again, we're going to be starting with 150 grain. So far, most of these rifles we've been working with really like the 150s. A few of them will shoot better with the match grade ammo and the 168 grain. And I think there was one the other day that shot with the 180s pretty well, if not the best group of the bunch. But most of them seem to prefer one. But there are a few that we've seen shooting consistently with everything. Now, those were the kind of the target grade rifles we started off with. All right, I'm going to shift over one target to the right, aim for the center. Got a 15 power maxed out scope here, so we'll work with that. Nice sharp reticle. Quite a bit of glare off of those shiny targets in this light. All looks good. I think we can try it. Nice and steady. Looks like it's maybe an inch high, an inch to the left. Felt good. Quite a bit higher. Not a good group. We're already at least an inch and a half, I think. Yeah. Not seeing that one. Oh, it's beside the second one. So the last two shots were fairly close, but the first one was quite a bit lower. So I would say it's not particularly loving the 150 grain. Let's see what it thinks about the 168s. Now, the idea with these match grade bullets and or ammunition is you want to try to build the most precise ammunition you can. So you would assume the manufacturer took some extra pains to make things consistent and precise, and using really beautifully balanced bullets, etc. And that's what contributes to match grade accuracy, potentially. Once again, I'm going to aim for that tip of the diamond on the bottom. Boy, that glare starts to get me sometimes. It obscures the target. Yeah, the glare is such that I'm not really seeing the hole. I think I might see it, but it might be off the paper to the left and high. I see that one. Looks like it's about 2 inches high and a little bit left. Just really can't tell. Chase, you want to come in there and take a look for me again? I just really would like to have a better feel for what's happening here.
Okay, so you got your first group, it was shooting high, and you had maybe an 1.5 inch group, and they're all three on right in there. And the second group on the 168s was, they're all on there. There's two just kind of on the edge of the paper on the white and the green line there.
Okay.
So, but you know, that is a bigger group. That's probably a 3 inch group almost. There was one that went low into the left.
Huh.
Oh, never mind. Nope, that's an old hole. Two are right on top of each other, and one's about 1 inch to the upper left. So yeah, not bad actually.
So what do you
So
think?
about a 1 inch group is all.
A 1 inch group?
Yeah.
Oh, way
two
better.
Two of them went in the same hole. Sorry,
Okay,
I got one
two in the
hole
same hole.
and
Oh,
okay.
okay.
The paper behind.
Great.
Yeah, so not bad.
That's refreshing to hear. I was going to go freak out at a 3 inch group.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the wrong hole.
Ooh, good. Thanks for clarifying that one, buddy. Were they a little bit high? We're about right there.
They were a little high to the left.
Yeah, I see that one on the left. There must be 2 holes in that one on the line.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, well, I'll aim at the bottom of this diamond, moving over one target to the right. Now, I'm seeing movement. When you guys are bench shooting like this, you can see those crosshairs wiggle a little bit. Obviously, you try to control that, but notice how they're wiggling. Are you wiggling left to right, up and down, or inconsistently? Try to tame that wiggle down. I'm seeing about a 1/4 MOA. That means I'm wiggling across those square inch grids about 1/4 of the way from my aim point. And that could just be my heartbeat. And one of the ways I control that body movement is to get it against the bench. So I've got 2 points here on the bench that are hitting me. And that helps stabilize my upper body. But the heartbeat, all you can do is calm your heartbeat. Some people have enough body mass that they can control it that way. And when you're really thin like I am and a heart's beating hard, you can actually see it bouncing in the scope. That broke nicely. Looks like it's straight up, a couple of inches up from where I aimed. All right. Felt good. And that one felt good. I think I've got a pretty tight little cluster up on top, Chase. Want to check it out for me?
Bet.
That may be our best group with this one.
Oh yeah, that looks like an MOA group to me.
Cool.
Yep.
Might even be a little better than that.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Excellent. One thing I want to comment on, Chase, you may have noticed this too, but depending on the shape of the pistol grip and the reach to the trigger, and actually the shape of the trigger too, sometimes I'll find that my finger doesn't quite wrap around the trigger. It's more of an angle like this, and that encourages some lateral movement when I try to pull straight back.
And where are you trying to get that trigger in the first place?
I want the trigger right on the pad of my finger, first pad, and I want my finger bent enough so that I'm coming straight back as much as I can, rather than torquing it off to the side like this. And with this rifle, I'm feeling like I'm not quite there on that trigger. I have to consciously try to arc my finger around a little bit to get more of a straight pull than a pushing to one side or the other.
So no twerking of the finger.
No twerking. That would be ugly.
That wouldn't be good. Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
But something to try for. You really notice it on the bench. When you're hunting, not so much, but it will affect your shots.
Okay.
So it's just a little thing.
Huh.
Well, I basically liked that. I love what it did with this last load.
Yep.
Shows a lot of potential. Anytime I can pick up a hunting rifle that groups MOA, I'm happy because I'm limiting my shots to at most 500 yards. There's not very many times in my life, and I've done a lot of hunting, that I've shot past 450 yards.
Okay.
I can think of a couple of times at 5 and one time at a ridiculous 777 yards, and that was kind of a test of a new bullet long-range rifle setup and all the rest of it. And it was shooting so beautifully that I thought the conditions were perfect, dead calm, had spotters, got double readings on the range with the rangefinders, 2 different rangefinders. We just covered all the bases, and I was rock solid. And I was dry firing on my target and go, man, that crosshair stayed right there. And when I made that shot, put the bullet right on the shoulder where I was holding.
Nice.
It was pretty impressive. I would not make that a regular habit. I just thought, if I'm always talking about this stuff and poo-pooing long-range shooting and everything, I really ought to have been there, done that.
Sure.
Had some experience. And gosh, it certainly can be done, but you've got to know your rifle, your load, your scope, and know that everything is working perfectly before you do that kind of thing, and then have the right conditions. And in the field, hunting, you're usually out of breath, you're excited, you're seeing antlers, you know the whole story. So it really is a little bit risky. I'm not saying no one should ever do it. A lot of folks will say it's completely wrong. You should never even try it past whatever distance they pick. Some say not even 200 yards.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
well,
people
that's
say
kind of me. I mean, I've told you before, but I'm not comfortable shooting out beyond a couple hundred yards, and usually I keep it in tighter just because, I haven't proven it. So
well, then that's beautiful. I mean, that's the way you ought to do it. You should know your own limitations. Yeah. Don't stretch them thinking, well, I've got this fancy new rifle with a big scope, I can do this.
Yeah.
No, not if you can't do it.
Sure.
Even if the rifle, scope, and bullet can, you have to know what you can do. So you're a wise man to take that position.
I don't know about that.
Well, this might work for you.
Okay. Well, let's check out the last one, which I think there's a little bit of bias involved with.
No bias, not from this independent reporter. All right, I know this is the NULA, New Ultralight Arms Rifle. What sort of statistics are we looking at for weight and all that sort of thing?
You bet. So I'm going to use a cheat sheet here because this is a lot to remember. But here's what I got. We've got a push feed action, Seiko style extractor with a plunger ejector.
It does indeed. There it is.
It weighs 5 pounds. That's light for a rifle, right?
That's a beautiful lightweight rifle.
It's got a 20-inch barrel that's threaded. It's a floating barrel made of 416R stainless.
Oh yeah. Turn the cap off, put a suppressor on it.
Sounds good.
That's becoming all the rage.
The overall length is 39¼ inch.
It's a nice compact little rifle.
The trigger pull is a Timney Elite Hunter adjustable 2 to 4 pounds. And
light.
Yeah, and then the stock material is made of carbon fiber. The metal finish is Armor Lube DLC and Armor Tough, whatever that is, but it sounds nice.
Sounds waterproof too.
Yeah, the magazine is an internal magazine it's got a hinged floor plate and holds 4 rounds.
Classic stuff.
Yep. And then it's got a 2-position safety that does lock the bolt, and it comes in at $3,295 MSRP.
Kind of pricey, but
Not
boy,
cheap.
it looks well made.
Sure does.
We're going to see how it shoots, see if it can live up to its reputation.
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
All right, let me see my bias.
Okay, yep, here's the what do they call the guy that's in the leader of the pack from the get-go, the front runner.
Yeah, the front runner.
Here's the one to beat, right?
Yeah, okay, I got to explain my bias here, guys. I have had this style of rifle since 1988. It was Mel Forbes Ultralight Arms, the first successful super light rifle, 4 3/4 pounds roughly. And I hunted all over North America with it. Sheep and elk and just everything. Mule deer, whitetails, coyotes. It was just crazy. That's such a lightweight rifle. It's not supposed to shoot all that well, but it was deadly. This is kind of a new version. He sold the company to Wilson Combat. They made just a few modifications to it. I don't see anything seriously different, but they are selling it now as the NULA, N-U-L-A, New Ultra Light Arms Model 20.
Okay.
And the Model 20 is referencing the weight of the action without the barrel on it. Just the action where the bolt slides through and all that weighs 20 ounces, which is half the weight of some traditional 20th century rifles.
Sure.
They get really heavy. Whole idea was to make a super lightweight rifle that was still strong, using modern steels, pressure testing everything to make sure it was safe. So it's a diminutive rifle that's crazy light and delightful to hunt with, especially if you're backpack hunting.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a bias. We'll see how well it shoots, but I already love it for the feel of it because I know it so well. And
it's pretty obvious to me just looking at the bolt. The bolt just looks smaller. It's got a smaller diameter.
You should have a bigger one here to compare it to, but
yeah, sure.
It's a traditional two-lug system with a plunger. It's like the Remington that way. It's got the little ejector, extractor hook in there, and then the plunger ejector in the face. But it's just a proven strong action. And despite its slim little weight and everything else, this bolt is really slickly smooth. Oh, and also the safety is a two-position, but it locks the bolt, which I always like. So for me, it's just a superb little hunting rifle.
Great.
Let's see how accurate this new version is. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 150 grain loads. Now we've got our standard magazine we load from the top, not a drop box magazine, a detachable. And I don't mind detachable magazines if they're a flush fit. The ones that stick out that I don't particularly like. Okay. All right, Mr. Target. Now this one does not have a super high power magnification. We're at 9x. So that makes it a little more challenging to get a precise shot on target. We'll be looking at the lower left main target, dead center. Felt like I was a little bit left on that shot when it broke. And the bullet is over there as well. About 1.5 inches to 2 inches over. I think we might be touching. Touching is a good thing, Chase.
That's a good thing. Unless it's my teenage daughter, then I say it's a bad thing.
It's a good thing in dancing and target shooting. Oh, I think it came out about 1 inch. Give us a peek just to confirm for me, because I'm looking at 9x. Nice sharp scope, by the way. I've got a pretty darn good sight picture on this one.
Okay, yeah, you're to the left a bit. You got probably about a 1 MOA. You got the one that's a little low and to the left to 1/2 inch.
Yeah, that last one looks like it went low right on the yellow line.
Those first two are,
on the diagonal. Okay, all right. I like the sharpness of this scope, by the way. I've not worked with Trijicon scopes that much, but boy, I'm pretty impressed with this one. Now, feeling a little bit of recoil, but not as much as most people would think with a rifle this light. I'm guessing with this scope on here and everything, it's coming in at around 6 pounds, maybe 6 and a few ounces, but nicely balanced, and it's not beating me up. The old kicks like a mule does not apply. We'll see what it thinks of these match grade bullets. I think once again I'll go for the bottom of that diamond. Yeah, it actually shot low, straight down below my aim point, about 1 inch. Might get mixed in with that previous group at this rate. Oh, right on top of the other one.
Nice.
Yeah, they're just right there. I love it. Ooh. almost a vertical line touching. Like 1, 2, 3, like that.
Nice.
You don't even have to go look through the big. Nope, I can see these.
Want me to take a look?
Well, yeah, you're gonna, for your own edification, mate,
I
want to
will.
take a look. Oh, yeah. The match ammo held up its end of the
Oh
deal.
yeah,
that
low,
time.
but right there, they're all touching.
Yeah.
Wow.
You think it's gonna span a 1/2 inch?
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, there's a 1/2 inch in there.
Half MOA with a 6-pound rifle. Come on. Now, might start feeling these 180 grains a little bit. This light rifle on a bench. Hunting, wouldn't feel it. Well, I have no idea if this is going to drop more or less, but I'll go over to that top diamond on the right, and again aim at the bottom of it. Oh, that wasn't bad at all. But where is the bullet hole? I think it might have gone high. I don't see it at all. Oh yeah, I see it. A little bit low right on the line with that one. We may have another 3-shot, 1-hole-ish kind of group here. I'm not sure. But these last two, I think, went to the same spot.
You were shooting in the upper? Yeah, I see them. They were all low and to the left, but that's easily, yeah, that looks sub-MOA to me.
The bias paid off.
Okay, all right, I give you that. I give you that.
So, as you can see, lightweight rifles can
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah,
Even though we're on the bench, I don't care. This does that well in the field.
yeah.
And let me try this thing out. All right, let's trade places because I
Sure.
want them to be able to see this rifle. What I want to demonstrate is as a hunting rifle, and I'm working cover or I'm stalking something and I'm expecting a shot at any time, I want that balance between my hands.
Yep.
But I do want a little bit muzzle heavy if I can get it, because when it's muzzle heavy, it tends to circle around the weight out front and minimize your movement back here. If you have a butt heavy rifle, it's easy for you to move the front end around too much because it's lightweight. So one thing I look for is just a slight muzzle heavy. You generally want your balance about right there at the
Okay.
receiver, where the chamber meets the receiver,
Yep.
or just in front of the magazine well area. So somewhere right about in there, it should balance. And one wants to be back a little bit because it's, just a little bit muzzle heavy, about right there it wants to come down. I like that. That helps me hold on target. It's what I've noticed about the one that I've had all these years.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing I want is this nice feel right there.
Yeah.
My hand is wrapped around this flat bottom magazine, and I can carry it comfortably like this, work my way up the hill, get that rifle into action quickly, bingo. I mean, it's got this comb that rises in the back, so when you shoot, it slips under your cheek instead of slapping up against it. And that's why I'm sitting here shooting this super lightweight rifle and not feeling like I'm getting beaten up.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's got a decent recoil pad. I think it's a decelerator. Yeah, decelerator pad. They're sort of de rigueur for just effective use. And then I don't need a long magazine sticking out of here because it's accurate and I've got good control, and I shoot one time and I got my animal. Maybe 2 times, maybe at the most 3. I remember shooting a sheep one time where I had to shoot 4 times to get the sheep. First shot, he was running out there at 350 or something, and I see the dust kick up behind him. Second shot, the dust kicks up just behind him. Third shot, I hit him. He stops, put another shot into him to finish him off. But most of the time, you get him on your first shot, and then maybe you'll need an anchoring shot for the second one. So
well, and I don't see anybody complaining about shedding 3 or 4 pounds off of their mountain rifle if they're backpacking in somewhere.
No. I mean, a lot of guys will say, and women too, there's some pretty tough women out there backpack hunting and carrying a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And you're young and strong, you can do that. But I don't care how young, strong you are, you can go further and last longer when you're not doing as much work.
Yeah.
Carrying a heavy rifle around, it seemed like, wow, what's another 2 or 3 pounds? Big deal. It adds up when you're climbing 8,000 feet and hiking 20 miles in, and every day, day after day, it wears on you.
Yep.
And if you don't have to carry 2 extra pounds of rifle, you can carry 2 extra pounds of food.
Sure.
And
That's
food becomes a big
snacks.
deal. Yeah.
We got some tight groups, I think.
Yeah. 150
Look at
grain
that.
load. That was out of the Waypoint 2020, right?
That's Springfield. Yep, that's it.
That is, oh
Look at
gosh,
those,
that's probably
yeah.
a 3/4 inch group. It's under an inch MOA anyway.
Can't complain about that.
Shows the potential.
Yep.
Interestingly, that was the inexpensive whitetail ammunition.
Yep.
We go to the match grade ammunition, and I mean, that's a nice group,
Yep.
but of course,
Probably a little bit over an inch, so that's
yeah, that's, I mean, it's still a great group, and it shows the potential. The next 3 shots could be all clustered in one.
Sure.
You really can't tell a rifle is a MOA, sub-MOA with a 3-shot group.
right. Okay.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
You've got to have, they used to say in the old days, 10 shots. These days, we're kind of saying 5-shot groups are a little more precise, but you should do 5 today, 5 the next day,
Yep.
next week, consistently. Every time you shoot a 5-shot group, it should stay inside a minute of angle or half before you can legitimately claim that that rifle's going to do that all the time,
Sure.
because it's just not likely that it's going to.
Yep.
And then, of course, with the 180s, it spread it all out. So, and then that was a waypoint. Then this one was the
That's the Browning.
oh,
So that's the Browning X-Bolt. We got a decent group right there. Not the best,
yeah,
but
but
it was
that's
all right.
kind of that's a good, honest hunting group.
Yep. Second one.
Boy, here.
Yeah.
Just nicked that corner. I was gonna say that's an old bullet hole, but it's not. I can see where it's ripped it.
Yeah.
So we had 2 touching, and then this guy flew out, and that made it about 1 1/8 to 1 1/4.
Yep.
Again, decent hunting group, but not what you'd absolutely want. Now the 180s did surprisingly
They
well.
did. Yeah, very
That
good.
is an MOA group.
Yep.
Maybe a little better. Yeah, that's probably about 0.75069232.
That's amazing how you calculate that just like that. Wow,
My
that's
measuring device.
that's a precise measuring device you got.
But here's the magic, my friend. 150 grain load.
Yeah.
Shooting a little bit left, but
Yeah.
nah, you're not for a lightweight rifle.
Sure.
You're thinking, wow, that's pretty impressive. Then you shoot the 168s and look at
Yeah.
that.
Of all the guns we shot, that gun shot the best with the match grade.
It did. I think it shot the best with anything.
Yeah.
I think one other rifle, if I remember right, had a nice little tight group like that.
Yeah.
And we haven't done any exact measuring,
Sure.
but for what we're doing here for hunting rifles, come on.
Yeah. Can't complain.
Yeah. 3/4 inch group on that. And then this 180 grain. What it tells you is that this rifle is built well and consistently.
Yep.
And it proves that super lightweight rifles aren't inherently inaccurate.
So you're also telling me that you're paying for something decent as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
these were also the more expensive of the rifles we
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
at, and they all shot of the groups of 3 we did, groups of 3 rifles that is. These shot tighter groups, I think collectively, than any of the other guns we shot. If you looked at them all, don't you think? There were always. It seems like there were a few flyers in some of those others.
Yeah, we'd have to go back and
Yeah.
look at them all. We'll go back to the old footage and see it, but these are definitely pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And most of these rifles are, really. And I don't want anyone to watch these videos and say, well, the rifle that scored the
Yeah,
lowest
right.
is no good. It's just that one particular rifle. I mean, I could get another of this brand and maybe it doesn't shoot this well.
Yeah.
Or this one, or maybe you get the second model of this one comes out, you pick it up and it's shooting like a house of fire.
Yeah.
Individual rifles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can get a general idea that consistently, like the Savage has got a reputation for really being out of the box accurate, and they pretty much live up to it. But every once in a while you get one that doesn't. And the same with other brands. The Remingtons are generally pretty accurate, and the one we had wasn't all that accurate, but doesn't mean the next one isn't going to be.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm pretty excited to take that Browning out here in a week or 2.
let's get you shooting on that one and see how well you do with it.
Yeah.
And maybe work on some field stuff.
I'd like that.
Of these 3, for a hunting rifle, as you predicted, I'm going with the Nula.
Well, I can't blame you.
Yeah.
You told a good story about it, and I believe, yeah, it looks great.
You believe it's a true story?
I
You know,
believe it's a
not
true story.
lying?
I mean, yeah, sure. I'll take your word. Take at your word.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I don't like this is that it's more of a target rifle.
Sure.
But as we discussed, if somebody likes the target rifle, they want to sit up and shoot,
Yep.
not do a lot of hiking and stalking, or if you're working out of a stand, as we always say, this is great.
You bet.
Yeah, and they're all plenty accurate enough. And they're new rifles too. They're going to get more accurate
Yep.
as you break them in and find the right load. You know, these aren't the only 3 loads a guy could shoot. There's tons of ammunition in 308.
Sure.
This guy, you said you wanted to hunt with it. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that much different from the Nula. You know, they're about the same overall length. They both have the suppressor ready. This one has a brake. This one doesn't. I don't feel it needs it, but the ability to put that suppressor silencer on the front, I think, is nice.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you're going to be hanging on to this Nula, so I think the Browning's the one I'm going with.
Yeah,
after
I
all.
think that's the one you want to pick because you're not getting this one.
That's what I gather. Yeah, that's pretty clear. That's all right. Well, great. That was super helpful. I mean, I think all 3 of them seem to be great, lightweight, higher end precision rifles. I'll call it the orthodontist class of rifles. You know, they got huge margins in orthodontia. You know, they got plenty of money to spend on this stuff.
And they can afford a rifle.
They can afford a nice rifle, but there's lots of other people too that are going to get a lot out of it. So
yes, and that's kind of a surprise. Everyone thinks, well, your average guy can't afford an expensive rifle. Boy, if it is your hobby and your love, you're going to make a way to get that. You don't want to.
Sure.
If you want it, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, you give up your beer or your cigarettes or your soda pop or your candy bars or something that you don't absolutely need.
yeah,
Because you absolutely need this expensive rifle. Good priority. Now, do you want to do some shooting with? You're going to pick this one for hunting this year, right?
that's the plan. Yeah,
Are you ready to hunt with it, or you want to do some?
I would love. So, I'm an average Joe. You know, I am a learn it yourself DIY kind of hunter. I had an uncle who's a great outdoorsman who helped me get my first whitetail. Since then, I watch YouTube and your videos and others to figure out how to do this thing. So, I'm a mediocre shot at best, and I would love some tutelage.
Well, let's get you shooting on the bench, get you all tuned up, find out which load you like. We've got some other ammunition you can try too.
I've got a bit too, I brought.
Okay, we'll do some of that. And after that, I think we'll get you into field positions because too many guys get on the bench and they shoot and they shoot and they shoot and they think, man, I'm hot stuff. And then they get out in the field, they go, where's my bench?
Yep.
And they haven't practiced shooting from field positions.
Yeah.
And a lot of them will think, well, I'll just go prone on my bipod. And then you discover there's such a thing as grass.
Sure. Yeah.
And they go, why am I seeing grass instead of my deer?
Yeah. Were you following me last year? Because this is pretty much what happened.
On yours?
And I'm not willing to shoot over 200 yards because I've never attempted a shot at that range.
Oh.
So I would love to have the confidence to be able to take some of those more challenging shots.
Folks, we're going to do another show, and let's just see what Chase can shoot, and then see if he can't try some longer shots and improve, and maybe I can give him a few tips on field positions that I've discovered over the years. That sound good?
You bet.
But this kind of wraps up our 308 week as far as checking out the rifles and all. I think we're going to do one more episode, though, where we have the shoot-off between the top 3 in each category.
Yeah.
Does that sound like fun?
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah,
Okay.
we do a shoot off and we kind of look at the pros and cons. You know, and a little bit of background, the reason I have all these rifles is because at Outdoor Empire, I sort of do a lot of gear reviews. We do a lot of these comparisons of all kinds of things for hunting, camping, and fishing. But when it comes to things like rifles, I have to seek out somebody, an expert who knows really what they're talking about, because I think you'll read through the lines here with me. So
Fooled them again.
yeah, so, well, you're doing a good job so far. And I would say that we're going to figure out, you know, where these each fit. And we kind of have already done a lot of that in these individual or 3, head-to-head videos. But I think we're going to find out what happens in the kind of do a summation, right? We're going to see what we think overall about each of them, do a shoot off.
Yeah, let's get that. I think we picked the Savage for the heavy target rifle format, and
the Tika.
the Tika. And I want to talk to you about that Tika. You know, I was sleeping on it, and I woke up thinking, you know what? I might just change my mind on that and go with the Ruger. Because after we went down to the targets and looked at them more closely,
that Ruger was, right in there,
drooping as well as the Tika. And I was thinking, the Ruger has a short barrel, and it's ready for a suppressor.
Yeah,
and I've gotten so interested in that suppressor. I'm going to revisit those 2. So let's bring those 2 out in that category, and I'm going to make up my final on that one. And then, of course, this guy is going to be in the final competition too.
You bet.
So we'll shoot those 3 against one another
Yep.
and see how we pick out a winner and see if they shoot as well as they were the last time we shot them. I'm sure they will, but we'll just try it.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks for hanging in there with us. I hope you've enjoyed our research thus far on these 308 rifles, and we'll do one more for you and then get back with some other stuff shooting the 308 with Chase in the field. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a successful season and are shooting well. If you're not quite ready for that deer hunt, by golly, get out there and start practicing your field shooting positions and stuff and get that rifle dialed in and ready to go. Best of luck to you. Hunt honest and shoot straight.